Good morning, everybody. Welcome, all you stylists from the break room. We got Dom with us this morning. Dom fills in every so often, so
Yes,
it's
I
always a
do.
fun pleasure to have you, buddy. Good morning, Dom.
Hello.
So now we're going to be talking about the perfectly undone fall blowouts. So we're finally changing seasons here. We're going from the summer heat that we've been having, nice, beautiful, consistent 90-degree days that we've been having. And now we're going to be going into the fall where it has consistently now been what, 60 something degrees, almost 70 degrees.
Drier, cooler, fall
What,
season.
what do you prefer?
I like cold.
You like the cold, huh?
hmm
You know
You
me.
love the cold. I know you hated all these 90 degrees. You'd be a vampire. You can stay indoors.
What is it? All right, feedback. Yeah, I we took the kiddos to the park yesterday, and I just every shade. I'm like jumping from shade to shade. It was like Frogger.
Yeah, you were. Stay away from the sun.
It's wild. It's wild. So why does this matter? What are we talking about this? During the summertime, if you have a crap ton of humidity and you have a lot of heat, okay, what happens to the hair? It gets sticky, you start sweating, you're loading up a lot of product in your hair to make it heavier, to make it anti-humectant, anti-frizz, got a lot of UV products in there. The hair is just constantly down in your face. It's hard to create volume in the summertime, especially even if you do create volume, then you just got big hair all around you. And it starts making you feel stuffy. It starts making you feel uncomfortable. It's just touching you, right? And so often than not, how many people do you see pull their hair up in a ponytail during the summertime?
Oh, a lot.
It's
I
just
did a lot as well when I had my flow.
true. When you had longer hair, right? How difficult was it to deal with it in the summertime compared to the fall time?
Oh yeah, it'd get all greasy because of the humidity and your sweat mixing in there. Yeah, it would. It's definitely a challenge.
It's a challenge. So it's just easier to pull it back, not deal with it. And then finally, when you get inside and you're in the air condition and you cool down and you calm down, then you can kind of let it down and give yourself a chance to breathe for a second because you've got it all tied up. It's like that was Botox before Botox was just how tight can you make your
Yeah,
pony?
people get those headaches, those ponytail headaches, because they would tie it up too tight.
It's wild. So that's the thing. Now, as the humidity drops, as we start going into the fall, it's just cooler temperature all the way around. So some of the challenges are presented different than the summer. It's more dry. It's cooler temperature, right? So what's going to happen is the moisture level, the humidity level is going to drop. So there's going to be a lot more resistance in the air and in the environment. And then if the moisture and the humidity level drops, or if the moisture level drops in your hair, then your hair gets drier. So then those two are just rubbing against each other, and now it's creating a lot more friction. So what are some of the things you can guess would be bad about causing friction? Two things rubbing against each other nonstop.
Well, you'll probably deal with a lot of breakage.
A
You'll
lot
get
of
all frizz,
breakage.
a lot of static. Your hair is going to be all like Albert Einstein.
Wait, does that count as volume?
I I guess he would have volume. You comb his hair with a balloon. So
That's actually a great analogy. That's actually a great analogy. So what happens when you rub your hair? Well, talk out that analogy. What happens when you rub your hair with the balloons?
you produce static electricity, and it just
So if we break that down even further, the reason why you're producing static electricity, there is a static positive charge that exists in the atmosphere. Okay.
yes.
And then we also produce a positive electronic charge in our bodies. So it's why when especially in the fall now, like you just said, when that friction occurs, that hair blows up and it gets crazy. So in the summertime, we focus a lot more on the tools. We're focusing a lot more on the blow dryers, on the rollers, flat ironing to, lock down the cuticle, right? We don't focus so much on the brushes. We do use brushes in the summertime, but we're focusing more on tools to get the job done. In the fall, we still need to use tools, yeah, sure, but brushes become so much more vital, because brushes, especially if you're getting good brushes, are negative. They produce negative ions. So they're tourmaline infused, they're nylon. They just create that opposite static charge. It helps seal down the cuticle. Two like charges help seal down the cuticle. How often, what is the difference when you brush your hair versus you don't brush your hair?
Ooh, when I don't brush it, it's all clumpy and it's just all scrunchy. It looks all, it's flat, it's scrunchy, no volume.
That's the difference. And then when you brush your hair, it helps smooth it. It helps puts it in place. Yeah, sure. But it helps smooth it out,
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest things. Hair extensions, I think, is the best example to show off why it's important to brush your hair. If you let your hair air dry, your hair extensions get fuzzy, they get blowed up, they get big. If you brush them out, it starts smoothing them down, So anybody with a long hair or anybody with hair extensions innately knows this. It makes a huge difference. So brushes are going to matter more than ever. And especially not just round brushes, paddle brushes are huge right now for the season. Huge. Do you have a personal favorite in paddle brushes?
I have that Ergo that you got me years ago, so I've just been using that all along.
So Ergo, Ergo's they've got the smaller paddle and then they got the larger paddle. But then in that same small and large size, they have the classic version of the bristles, but then they have the gentle version of the bristles, which is a 2-tier. Which one do you have? Do you have the gentle one that's 2-tier?
I have the 2-tier.
You have the 2-tier one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I like about the 2-tier one in particular is it's great for all hair types, and especially if you're brushing, if you're detangling, if you're smoothing out, it's really nice, that 2-tier one. That classic one, the regular paddle brush, if you're doing blowouts and you need tension, man, that classic one is freaking amazing for stuff like that. But for everyday use, especially for brushing out and detangling, yeah, that gentle one is really nice. So then let's break that down. If you're gotta do a blowout, so if you're switching seasons, should your shampoo and conditioner change?
I would think, I guess so. You would need ones, suitable for the season.
So then in the summertime, I'm always talking about keeping a moisture or a hydrate type shampoo. Because if you keep your moisture and your hydration levels in check in your hair, then it won't go reaching out to look for the humidity, then your hair won't blow up. Okay. So then it keeps everything nice and stable, nice and even. As the weather drops in the fall, pop quiz, should you keep that moisture and hydration levels in your hair, or should you start skimping on it?
Probably keep it because it's a lot drier out.
You need to keep the moisture levels in there, right? So it works out. It works out. You should continue to keep using moisture and hydration, moisture and hydration based shampoos and conditioners. But now here are some other options. You could also start using the dryness in the air and that friction to your advantage. If you want volume, could you purposely start using volume shampoos and conditioners So to purposely blow up your hair, so have it rub against the atmosphere, to then have it blow up even more and frizz out even more.
I guess so.
You're a 90s kid.
Mm-hmm.
What was the styles growing up for you?
Well, me particular being a hockey person, we had the Yarmir Yager mullet, and the women looked like DJ Tanner from Full House.
So wouldn't that naturally just create that look? If you just let it rub against each other and just have the hair blow up.
The 90s were a crazy time.
So it's fascinating, right? You could use shampoos and conditioners for either purpose. If you purposely want to blow up your hair, or if you want to try to tame it and control it. There's two different ways you can go with that. That would be kind of fun. It would yield some very wild results, some very interesting results. As far as products goes, I mean, those were pretty much the styles. You had that mullet like you're talking about. And if you didn't have a mullet, you had extreme layering. That's what all of that was just heavy, extreme layering, right? If you modernize it nowadays, we're calling it, what have we called it lately? Like the wolf and the octopus and the squid and the 2-tier, the 3-layer, the step, the staircase.
The Edgar. The Edgar.
You know, we've had so many different versions of what we're modernizing it to it now, but every decade has its own iteration, its own version of it. So yeah, the 90s was very, very extreme. So you had a lot of movement. You had a lot of, a lot of layering, a lot of movement. And you had a lot of breakage too. So a lot of chemical cuts were fun, And then on the opposite,
I also had breakage because Granny would just get the comb and just yank your hair. She didn't care. Grandma, comb my hair, okay.
And whatever was
would
left,
come out, suck it up. You're like, ow. She just kept.
I mean, that's what we did. And then if you think about it, right, then you had the other opposite extreme. We were just coming off the 80s. So everybody was teasing and hairspraying and perming their hair to get as high as possible. And then in the 90s, we were still doing it. It kind of dropped off a little bit. So now everybody was trying to do it with a bubble style, with round brushing, round brushing, especially in the mid to late 90s. Dear man alive, did round brushing become a thing? Because before then, everything was pretty much denim brush. Well, everything was still denim brush during that time too. But round brushing started picking up more popularity, and people wanted more like that bubble blow dry. Who am I thinking of, that bubble blow dry? Who was like, there was the TV show. I always forget, Don. What was it? The Marsha one?
Oh, the Brady Bun, Mrs. Brady. Like the 60s thing was into the 90s again. People wanted that.
Everything old becomes new, right? So what was some of those 60 styles that that you're aware of?
Like the beehive,
So wasn't Marge Simpson like the reiteration of the beehive kind of?
Yeah, the Marge Simpson is the extreme 4-foot tall beehive.
It's so much fun. So much fun. So
I would feel so bad if they made a live action movie. That hairstylist, if they would ever have done a Marge Simpson live action, would need an Academy Award.
Well, it's actually, when we're doing that on stage. So here's a fun little tidbit for you. You know what chicken wire is?
Yeah.
And like those little mesh grates and things like that. I mean, all that is just a form over a piece of styrofoam. And you put a lot of that wiring around it. And the reason why you put that wiring around it is because then you can rub glue all across the surface of it. And then you can stick patches of hair to it. And then you can sit there and separate and style the hair as you need to and wrap it all the way around. Because trying to find somebody nowadays with hair 4 feet long, what do you think the chances or even the statistics of that would be?
Probably very low.
Can you imagine how thick or how much hair somebody would have to have?
I don't even think Carm would be able to do it.
Her head would tip over. She would just tip over. You see those
Yeah, she
videos?
would.
They put the clothes on the cat or on the dog, and they're like, oh, it looks so cute. And they try to make it to walk, and then it just tips over. Like it'd be insane. So yeah, no, we used to, for stage, we used to create the shape and the form first, and then we'd do like we'd pull the hair up on the client, on the model. We'd pull all the hair up, and then we'd anchor the piece onto there, and we'd bobby pin it in really, really good. And then from there, whatever hair they had left, their natural hair, we would just kind of incorporate it into the base foundational part of the block of the piece. And then we'd hairspray the crap out of it so it wouldn't move, you know? And that's how we did.
That's why we have that. See, that's why we have the ozone layer depletion, because all that hairspray through the CFC.
Aquanet, baby.
We almost killed the environment. We had to ban all that stuff to repair the ozone layer.
It looks so cool. Man, that whole Y2K scare, I remember they were talking about the ozone, and our dumbasses, we would just run out there with cans of hairspray, spraying it into the air, going, we want to kill the ozone. We want heat. You know, it's the winter sucks. We want heat. We're going to help.
It warm. We want it warm.
Oh man, wild times. The things that we thought, the way we thought about things. Has anything changed? Do we still think that way? Has anything changed? Just the way we argue about it has changed. So yeah, that's what we would do. We would just, everything in the 90s was just starting to have some kind of a shape, some kind of a form to it. And then into the early 2000s, especially, oh my God, did round brushing explode. And do you know, if I say to you the Rachel haircut or the Rachel style, do you know that reference? Do you know what am I talking about? What is that?
The Friends. I was always a Seinfeld person, so I never watched Friends, but I knew.
But who was the actress, the Rachel?
Jennifer Aniston, yeah.
Jennifer Aniston. So if anybody can think about that, Jennifer Aniston.
That swept the world. Everybody in the world wanted that haircut.
Was mental. Was absolutely mental, you know? And there was two ways to style that. You either had it more sleek and layered, or you had that blowed up, baby. You had that beautiful bubble shape and then winging out on the bottom and exploding out on the bottom, you know? Those were the two ways to do it. So it really much depended on products. Not just your blow drying and your round brushing skill, but also on your products. Larger barrel round brushes became the thing. Everybody was trying to get the larger barrel round brushes. If you fast forward to now, the past couple of years, a more medium size to semi-larger size has been more popular, because everybody's been trying to, get tension and smooth out, right? But to get that volume, that fullness, having the larger barrels was huge. So that's going to be making a resurgence and a comeback. I believe those are 1.5 to 2 inch round brush barrels. So 53 millimeter, 65 millimeter, depending on, how you're measuring, how you're buying your brushes. Those are the kind of things you're going to be looking into. Just think about that. The last show that you helped us with, how crazy was the crowd going over those larger barrel brushes?
Oh yeah, they were all over them.
Do you remember what some of the things people were saying about it at all?
I was kind of in the back mostly, so I can't.
They were just impressed on how large the barrel was and how much hair they can grab. And it really does
make it take many turns. It was only half a turn and you get full revolution.
You'd get the full section wrapped up in there. You'd be able to lock that in, blow dry it real quick, get it done, let it cool down, and you got this nice, beautiful shape, you know? So we're going to start seeing that come back. Yeah, that one.
But you got them all hopped up on that. And then when they're leaving, because I would check everybody in, and I'd be in that back area, and you would teach the class. And then when they all would rush out and leave, they would all like swarm me with like comments and things, like assuming I'm a hairdresser. And I'm just like, what am I gonna? So I'm just like nodding and agreeing.
Yes, if you say yes enough, you got to get an impression, right?
They all assume I'm like a hair, some hair celebrity, and they're all just like, oh my God, the technique. I'm just like,
That's how good of a salesperson you are. So it's hilarious. But yeah, so big, larger round brushes are going to be good. Your blow dryers are still going to be necessary. Now, products. Volume products are back on the rise again. For the summertime, we had a lot of like protein sprays and UV and, leave-in conditioners and things like that. The fall, you start to see a lot more gel with hold, soft to medium hold.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why that's good is because you want that shape built in and you want that volume to hold. You can't just rely on hairspray. You gotta do, you need additional hold beyond the hairspray. Because if your foundation is weak, then the whole thing's gonna collapse and fall apart after a little while anyways. Also, if you're using a soft to medium hold gel, when you're doing pieciness, when you're doing your layers and things like that, you can really, I loved seeing the separation of layers and seeing like the piecey chunkiness of a layered haircut go through. I thought that was so much fun. It wasn't just at the bottom, where the hair hits the body and it separates. Seeing that pieciness is fun, but seeing the actual pieciness come through and accentuate and accent that, I think it's fun. I think that's really, really sexy. I think it's so cool when you see a woman spend the minute to style their hair and they got everything flowing. And then when they're walking, their hair is just bouncing. I don't know. That turns me on. I think that's cool.
But then on the extreme end of it, you would see people with like the extreme layers and it would look like a Christmas tree.
You know what? I'm all for it too.
I would always, as a kid, with me, I was always a moose guy because that was like the 77-cent special. What was that, White Rain or whatever it was? My mom would get me that, and I would just moose up.
So that's actually a good point. Mooses have changed a lot too. We always had those golf ball mooses, the foams.
Yeah.
Or not the foams, the foams. Now you have the wet mousses in addition to those foam mousses. And the wet mousses are kind of fun nowadays because they have that stickiness to them. And then they foam up a little bit too, but because they're wet, it's more like a setting lotion and volumizer, not just straight foam golf ball, and you're just getting big hair. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think foam mousses, golf mousses, any kind of mousse nowadays, in addition to gels, mousses are a great alternative. If you don't want that crunchy hold, sticky hold, mousse would be a great alternative to give you the equivalency in the hold factor, but not be as crunchy onto the hair.
Yeah, because I remember when my mom would get, at first she would get like that neon goop gel, and I hated that. So then, luckily there was like that 70-cent mousse, which actually worked rather well with my hair. The only problem is during the spring and summertime when you run around and you sweat and it would get in your eyes, you get like pink eye and it would burn. It was, oh God, it was at gym class. You're like, my eye! That mousse is like sulfuric acid. It was,
Yeah, but then you put a little bit more in after gym because,
Yeah, then you put more mousse on. And
you got to style your hair. No, it's fun. Technology has the ingredients have changed significantly, have improved significantly. But even in the cheapy stuff, see, this is the difference. This is why you got to buy good products. This is why we're always talking about the salon grade ingredients and products. And they're a lot more concentrated. You don't need as much. It's, yeah, no, it's huge. That's actually that's actually a great point. Another thing that would be good is shine serums, dry shampoos, flat iron sprays, thermal protectors, all that category of styling as well too. That's a lot more lightweight. And then it'll help. It won't burn your eyes off if it gets in your eye if you're sweating, but it's also it breaks down a lot easier in the shower as well too. And if you look at current trends now compared to what they used to be, we're not washing our hair as often nowadays as we were back then. So having these kind of products, especially because they're more in the lighter weight category, it'll help extend the life of your hairstyle a little bit longer as well. So especially dry shampoos in this fall season now, dry shampoo is really powerful because if you're having problems with static, that'll break that contact. That'll break that static. And you don't need a lot of it, Here's another pop quiz for you. If you just washed your hair, now it's like perfectly clean and everything, right? And you're about to blow dry it and style it and put product in it. Should you put dry shampoo the same day you wash your hair, or is dry shampoo for like the next day and the day after and the day after, as long as you're trying to extend your hair?
I always would. I don't use dry shampoo, so I would just guess that dry shampoo is in between shampooings. I wouldn't think that you would be able to use it as you shampoo normally, because I just think that it would be the in between. When you really wash and dry your hair, in between that, you would dry shampoo. I know Carm loves the dry shampoo. Our cousin Trisha was just like begging you for some. She loves that stuff too.
Yeah, I gotta get it. And you just reminded me. Yeah. The it's great for extending the lifestyle. That is its purpose. And a dry shampoo, just as its name states, is a product designed to cleanse your hair in between actual washings. But here's a little tip. When you wash your hair, you shampoo, you condition it in the shower, right? You get out the shower, you towel dry your hair. Now you're about to start putting product on your hair. If you spray dry shampoo on your hair first and then layer product over that, okay, the next day when you go to spray the dry shampoo again and then brush it out, it's actually going to lift that product off the surface of your hair. It's not going to build up as harshly or as heavily, and it's not going to weigh your hair down. You'll actually be able to extend the life of your hair a little bit longer. Dry shampoo will put that surface contact on your hair, and then all the product will lay on that instead of embedding itself in. So then, like earlier you were mentioning, your hair won't get as greasy as quickly, or it won't get built up as quickly, or it won't get weighed down as quickly. And then you can get better volume out of it and better fullness out of it and things like that. So it's pretty cool. It's a fun little tip. It's a fun little trick you can do.
That'd probably be a future experiment. We'd have to film a special of first time me using dry shampoo, because I have never used dry shampoo. To me, that just seems weird. I just assume that it's like throwing talcum powder on your head and just I've never done dry shampoo. So
well, it comes in different forms. You're right. It comes in different forms. You got talcum powder, you got like baby powder, you got the aerosol sprays, you got rice based, wheat based. I mean, there's a couple of different bases of a dry shampoo. If you have a shaker, you kind of have to like break it down in your fingers a little bit, and then you kind of blow and see what it does. That little cloud that it makes, right? Or if you have an aerosol, it's easier with an aerosol. You just spray the aerosol. Basically, when you spray something, or when you puff, when you pump out a puff of product, or if you blow, if you grind down product and you blow it and it's like a little cloud. what you're looking for is little raindrops. If you see little raindrops falling down very quick and then everything else is just kind of floating there, you know that's a heavier product. But if you spray it, or if you blow it, or if you pump it and it puffs out, if it just kind of sits there like a little cloud and it kind of rises up, that's how you know it's a lighter base. It's not as heavy. So that's actually a good point that you're bringing up. That's a quick, if you're not sure, that's a quick visual way that you can know what your product is doing. And depending on what kind of hair you have, if it's thick or thin, if it's heavy or, light, soft, if it's sparse or if it's dense, you could kind of estimate real quick, if this is going to be too much for you, if it's not going to be enough for you, if you're going to need more of it or less of it. It's a nice little visual to kind of gauge where you're at with stuff. So that's kind of fun. That's pretty cool. So then for finishing, you go into hairspray. There is the popularity and the rise. Have you seen the non-aerosol, the spritz hairsprays?
Yes, I have.
So do you have any opinion or any experience with that? Have you had a chance to play with that at all?
No, I haven't used a lot of that stuff.
In essence, an aerosol spray is like spray glue, but a lighter version of it, and it's designed to just stick everything into place. It gives you, if you spray too much of it, it gives you kind of like that helmet head effect. If you remember the grandma bubble, it'll do stuff like that. The beehives.
The closest I've come is that like argon oil spray.
Oh yeah. So the wet ones, yeah, because they're more moisturizing, they're more hydrating because they're wet, they're non-aerosol. You actually have a little more forgiveness before it sets. You can kind of move it into place, An aerosol, you're supposed to
just pull it in my palm and then I would just kind of massage it in. I wouldn't like spray directly.
Right. You have that flexibility to do more creative things with it when you're styling your hair. Yeah, it works out. It totally works out. The aerosols, I mean, once you're done and you have everything in place, then you spray it down, but yeah, like you're saying with the wet ones, you could do it more. And then the fashion, starts to change from the summer to the fall too. What are some of the differences in clothing that we do from the summer to the fall?
Now clothing I know a little bit about. now I'm getting a little more in my wheelhouse. Obviously, fabric is key. So now once you get to the cooler seasons, you're all about the wool and, such. Whereas in the spring and summer, you need breathability. I'm always big on the cotton and the linen and all that. So now this is like wool territory now.
So then, okay, fine. Then as far as collars go, summer versus fall, what are the differences? Like collared shirts or people wearing more tank tops, more open tops?
Well, yeah, obviously when it's hot out in the summer, a lot of open neck and tank tops and V-necks and stuff. And then, obviously when it's colder out, you have more, closer to the neck fitting T-shirts and button-up polos and such like that.
When do turtlenecks come in, or is that more winter?
That's probably winter. I guess you could do it in the fall too, if you have a thin, breathable one.
Is that a fashion no-no, or are you allowed to do a turtleneck?
I think you're allowed to do a turtleneck. I don't see any problem with it. I'm not the fashion police though, but I'll rock a turtleneck if it's probably 60s.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or whatever.
So then so far as fabrics go, how is that on friction with wool or the heavier fabrics? Are they going to build up and then cause like static and tangling and matting and things like that?
Some of them will. I guess I could. I guess your body hair issue. If you have chest hair, it would kind of get a little staticky. I don't know if that's a thing. Is
I don't
chest
know
hair
if that's
popular? Yeah, I know in the 60s, everybody loved Sean Connery because he was all hair.
what about I'm talking about the hair on your head.
Well, a turtleneck is always going to jostle your hair on your head.
Is there okay, here's a question for you. So I talk about pillowcases all the time. So if you have cotton or if you have like polyester, cotton, nylon, microfiber, the thread count matters in a pillowcase. And the higher the thread count, the less friction, even if you have, regular material fabric, right? In clothing, does that make a difference
Oh,
in,
yeah.
in the fabric?
Mm-hmm.
So then is there such thing as high quality wool or high quality
Oh, yeah.
linen?
Oh, yeah. There's the supers system. I don't know, if you ever go suit shopping or something, and if you look at the label and it'll say, supers 100 wool, or that's like the thread count of the wool. So obviously the higher the thread count, they'll feel all silky and have that little glow to it.
Oh, okay. So then it would be less friction on the body, which
But
would be
yeah, it'll be a smoother wool. Yeah.
all right. All right. So that's cool. Um, and then what about, with styling hair? When you had longer hair, I had flat ironed your hair before a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
The difference in flat ironing versus just brushing. Do you have an opinion on that at all?
I prefer the brushing. The flat iron is just very. You look like I have like that goth look. It would just like flow and just be really tight, and
Goth lives matter too. Okay, goths
I know
are
I just didn't
feelings.
prefer that look.
No, I'm messing with you.
But
Always making fun of the goths. Um, the flat ironing is very interesting because in the summertime, especially with keratin smoothing treatments, it's so necessary to compact the cuticle down and lock it in to protect it from the humidity in the summertime, right? But when you get to the fall, using a flat iron creatively could be beneficial. It really could be beneficial. Now, if you're flat ironing straight down, yes, that's going to make it sleek, smooth, and in the fall, it's going to make it look just, overly flat. You're not going to have a lot of volume, especially with the weather. Everything's going to collapse and just fall down. But if you creatively use a flat iron similar like a round brush, you can create, like, you can come off 90 degrees. You can come off off base when you're flat ironing, and you can create and retain some of that volume, and you can create some fullness. Putting a soft bend right at the scalp, you can create more of a soft wave, or you can create a tighter wave too, depending on what you're trying to do. So using a flat iron in the fall could be very strategic as well. And that could be a lot of fun. It's just it's more of figuring out what direction you're trying to go with, It's just like thinking about, do you tend to keep your hair shorter in the summertime and longer in the winter months?
yeah, I do phases because then I'll go several years of just really, really, really long hair.
A lot of people want to grow their hair in the fall and the winter. That's the time to grow it out. In the summer, they want to cut it off. In the spring, they want change.
Mm-hmm.
And
Seasonal hair, yeah, that's a thing.
it's a total thing. And having shorter hair is just easier to work with. But going into the fall, more layers, more movement, more people are more open to trying things out because the weather they feel is more agreeable with them. And it's very fascinating. It's very interesting how the season change plays such a determining factor. And then if you think about it in hair color too, everybody wants to be blonde and light, and the sun lightens up
Oh,
their
yeah.
hair too.
That's for everything, with the clothing, with makeup, with everything.
And then in the fall and the winter, the colors start getting darker.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even in
What's what?
clothing too, you wear your darker colors. You're not gonna, yeah, you're not gonna wear your pastels in December. It just seems weird
But why? Why does it seem weird?
because you associate color. You associate those bright pastels with warmth, and with
It's
darker
interesting.
colors, yeah, it's very interesting how like
Very,
yeah,
very.
everything is a science. Your hair, your makeup, your clothes, everything is down to a psychological thing.
Couldn't do enough platinum blonde in these past couple of months, and now all that painstaking work we did on the clients to get them to platinum blonde, now they all want low lights, or they all want to go darker, or they all want to go one color again for the fall and the winter. And it's like, oh my god. And then in the fast forward again to the spring and summer, they all want to go back to blonde again.
Yep, it's a method to the madness.
It's wild. It's really, really wild. This is why low lighting is so important. If you've done all that painstaking work to get your hair nice and blonde, why are you trying to kill it? Tone down the level of blonde a little bit. Don't take it all away. Add in some low lights.
That's why I'm one of your easiest clients, because we just, like, when I had it long, it was just do the same thing the whole day. We would just do a little moderate, so it would mold well with the seasons. Like, I wouldn't be super blonde, but I wasn't super dark. I would just medium tint my hair, so that way I could just kind of blend in no matter the season.
It's just fun. Look at your sister. She changes her hair color every other season. She wants to do some extreme thing. Now she's a redhead.
Now she's got the Lucille Ball fix she's got.
She is very red.
She's gonna start binge watching that. Or no, she got the Carol Burnett. That's kind of reddish. She's binge watching that, so now she's gonna want to do the Carol Burnett style maybe. You'll see her hair evolve through the seasons.
It's wild, so wild. So yeah, things like that. So these are the kind of changes. These are the direction that we're going for the fall season. These are some of the tips that we can share with all of you watching. What are some of the tips that you may have when you're blow drying or you're changing? Let us know. Give us a comment, and share with us some of the ideas that you may have for the fall, changing over into the season, right? Last minute motivation. You got any words of wisdom for everybody?
Ooh, let's see. I
love throwing curveballs at you.
I know. I keep forgetting. You always... We have to make it a point for motivation.
I always love throwing curveballs at you. See, this motivates you to be on top of your game all the time.
I know. I've always got a...
So that's your fortune cookie motivation for this week, right? Expect the unexpected at all times, so that you will always be expecting the unexpected.
You will always be sharp.
You will always be sharp.
Sharp like your samurai sword.
You never know what's going to happen at any given moment. You never know what's going to hit you from left field. You're just sitting there minding your business, enjoying having a conversation, and now I hit you.
You have to go with the flow, like Bruce Lee said, always be like fluid, like water. Always, water always maintains the shape of whatever container gets thrown at you. If your glass is this shape, water's just gonna naturally go. If I'm in a big V vase or something, water's always just, you just have to be fluid with things.
So fluid like water. See, there you go. You just came up with the. Just came up with it.
I'm not as dull as you think.
You got to smile, man. You got to have fun. If you're being fluid, it's really good. The homework for this week for everybody watching, especially stylists, engage with your clients and play a game to ask unclosable questions. And what do I mean by that? If I ask you a question directly, you're going to give me an answer directly. If I phrase the question more open-ended, then it gives you the opportunity to expand upon it, right? And then it gets the conversation to keep going. It's an improv class technique. You got to keep asking questions. You can't just give ending responses. Have you ever tried to play that game before?
Yes.
Or do that exercise before?
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody has those antisocial friends where you have to get past that protective wall they have. I think what most talk show hosts like cringe whenever they have Robert De Niro on there, because he's just a very close, like he's got this huge barrier around him. So a lot of talk show hosts are like, I knew I made it when I could interview Robert De Niro and can do a 15-minute segment, because he's just like, so you have a new movie out? Yeah. Did you have fun doing it? Yeah. So you got to, no. He was just yes and no. That's just how he is. And it's like, you can't do anything with it. And
it's wild. So trying to creatively craft the same question in order to get somebody to engage and respond is challenging. It's very, very challenging. So that's the homework for everybody this week.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep that conversation going. You find out a lot more.
Get that antisocial guy to say anything but yes and no. Ask it.
That's true.
Get an elaboration, because everybody's got that antisocial friend where they just no, maybe, maybe, no, okay, bye, and you're like, well, that just went nowhere.
That's your metric. That's your measurement. That's your metric. That's your grade. If you're getting a lot of yes nos, then you are not asking correctly.
Yeah, you gotta dig. You gotta dig. You gotta dig. You gotta dig.
Dig and be fluid like water. There you go. There's your motivation. Dig, be fluid like water, make yourself a little puddle, and then drown in your success.
That's like a culture thing too. Like us Europeans and such, we're all, all our American friends are, oh, how are your parents doing? How's your cousins doing? Oh, they're fine. I'm like, no, they're not fine. You gotta dig. There's something going on. I know with Carmen and I, if there's something going, we're Italian and stuff. So anything, whenever there's something going on, I'm always like, Carm, get a grab of wine. You got to know, oh, have I got a tale for you? You don't know what's going on over. Or she'll call me up and be like, yo, guess what? I got the scoop.
And yet
we're masters of we dig. You got to investigate. You got to dig.
And yet, hey, how's everything going? Yeah, it's fine. How's the family? Yeah, they're great.
And it's like, you got my sister and I always go to our friends, and not that you gotta poke, you gotta dig. Something's going on.
So there you go. That's your homework. That's your motivation. That's your fun for the week. All right, then we are at the end, my friend. Always good to see you and hang out with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I always appreciate everybody else watching as well too. Let us know in the comments some of your tips and tricks for fall styling, clothing, coloring, all those different options. And for all you stylists out there, have fun and make a difference one client at a time. We'll catch y'all next week. Thanks for watching.
The SFTB podcast was not recorded in front of a live studio audience, so thanks for joining us for today's episode. If our hair topics made you smile, give us a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll read them while waiting for our caller to process. Share this video with your stylists and friends. It helps us make a difference, one strand at a time. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because your hair deserves all the latest and greatest tips.